Hi everyone, welcome to Vintage Digital Watches. Today's episode is a follow-up episode to episode 50, I believe, which was 7 tips on how to become a better watch collector. Today's episode is another 7 tips on how to become a better watch collector, and these are inspired by some comments I received on that specific video. So let's kick it off with tip number 1, buy contemporary. Yes, buying contemporary means that you buy watches that are made today. Some of the manufacturers, well, especially Casio and I believe Timex, and there are a few others that are still making digital watches that are very similar to the ones that were made 15, 20 and 30 years ago. For example, I bought these two. One of them is the Casio CA53 and the other one is the Casio AE1200. The calculator, we've seen this module, and well, this watch wasn't made like last year or 2 years ago. It had a long run, especially the module. We've seen it, I think it's 15 years old at least. But what you do by buying contemporary is, well, like me, I never bought digital watches because I wasn't able to 30 years ago or 20 years ago. But in 10 years, when these modules will be vintage collectibles, I can say, hey, I bought that specific watch back then. Your collection will grow, you will have a pristine watch, you can choose to buy it and maybe wear it only a couple of times or take really good care of it. Besides the vintage factor, you will also have some emotional factor attached to it. And yeah, the prices today are really low on these ones. $20 to $25. Do get them once every 2 years. That's all you have to do. Tip number 2 is invest in your collection, and by this I mean don't get only watches. From time to time, look for manuals, look for tags, look for boxes. This is something that I do, and what this does is increase the value of your collection because you do have a watch that has the tag, that has the manual. And it makes the collection look more vivid. The watch with a box, with a tag, with a manual, it looks exactly how it looked 30 or 20 years ago. So your collection will essentially be more complete. Besides that, it's a nice activity that you can do in between hunting watches. You are hunting for tags and manuals. Furthermore, these are usually sold in lots. So you might get 10 manuals or, I don't know, 20 tags, and from there you can use 3 for 3 watches. Maybe some of those tags or manuals inspire you to get that specific watch. So don't have your mind set only on the watches themselves. Look at the watch as only part of a group of items that you want to collect. Tip number 3, well, this is not a secret one, it's pretty obvious. Buy in lots, and this goes, I think, for anything you can collect. It doesn't apply only to watches. But people don't usually search for lots. They don't type in LCD watch lot or digital watch job lot. They usually type in for a specific item number. Well, a lot can hide that very rare piece you were looking for, and it can contain 2 or 3 other watches you can sell on, so you can pay for the entire lot. Learn the word lot in other languages so you can apply it on other eBay sites pertaining to a specific country. For example, in German it is Konvolut with a K, and you will be amazed on how many results you get with that. Also, when somebody sells a lot, it's high chances that they just want to get rid of the stuff. They don't want to look up what each individual item is and the value of that. They just want somebody to pay as much as they can for that group of watches. So there is a small advantage there. And lots can contain parts. Maybe you already have a watch, but that specific lot has a pristine condition watch with a non-working module, but you can swap out the module into the newer case, and presto, you have a better looking watch. So don't overlook lots. They usually hide diamonds in the rough. Tip number 4 is do what everybody else isn't doing. Actually, don't look only for Casio, Seiko, Citizen and that specific brand that everybody else is looking for. Look for other LCD watch brands. We have Vega, we have Alba, we have Orient. Some of these watches aren't expensive. I believe Alba and Vega, they are sub-brands of Seiko and Citizen. And their watches are so low priced right now just because they are overlooked by everybody else. And these will become the future sought after collectible items. So yeah, widen your search pattern to other brands. Don't stay close to a specific thing. Tip number 5 is learn market value. If you really want a watch, don't just jump on eBay or your local buy and sell website and just snatch the one that is there. Do research, and that will be the difference between a steal and overpaying for a watch. And I know people usually do this, but what happens is that when you want to buy a watch, you just look on the current prices, the sold listings, wait for a little bit until you get a good understanding of what the market value for that watch is at that specific moment. I saw a good example of a person, and this was a conversation in the Vintage Digital Watch Facebook group. He found a Seiko Data 2000 with all the accessories. This person was willing to pay $1,200 for it, and he thought was a good deal. And luckily the people right there in the forum convinced him by showing him other listings that was an overpriced item. So yes, pretty obvious tip, but make sure you exploit it. Tip number 6 is learn basic maintenance. The upkeeping of a digital watch collection, value-wise, compared to a mechanical watch collection, is so low. For digital watches, basic maintenance is changing the batteries, doing basic cleaning on the outside and maybe on the inside. You don't have to disassemble the module. If you have a mechanical watch collection, those have to be serviced by a specialist. So for your digital watch collection, if you know how to do these basic things, you will be able to save a significant amount of money if you have a 30 watch collection rather than taking it to somebody else to change the battery. If you can do that in a safe way, then from all those 30 watches, you can buy an additional watch. It doesn't take a lot, just a few tools and a little bit of knowledge will get you a long way. Tip number 7 is embrace your mistakes. The difference between an experienced collector and a newbie is that the experienced collector has done all the mistakes already. You will overpay, you will buy something that isn't that valuable, you will miss auctions. Don't let these events shape the way you think about collecting, and don't decide based on a few mistakes that you don't want to collect anymore. Go over them, go past them, put them behind you. Trust me, the next time you will know what to look for, you will know how to act, you will know how to negotiate a certain watch if you've done that mistake before. Just make sure you don't repeat them. And the bonus tip is don't ever sell your entire collection if at one point you decide that after 5 years collecting watches isn't your thing. Keep at least 1 or 2 pieces, because in the future, trust me, you will want to come back to that, and if you have those 1 and 2 pieces, you will have a starting point. Those will have the sentimental value that they are the items that you didn't sell, and they are part of a certain time frame of your life when you were doing this thing, you were collecting watches. Keep them as a memento of that period. Who knows, maybe in the future they will either increase in value or you will want to start to collect again. For example, a few years ago, I started looking into mechanical watches, and I even bought some, and this is a story for another video, but I didn't sell all my digital watches. Then I did sell a big part of my collection, and then I felt sorry. Mechanical watches weren't for me, but I kept a few of the core items, and that was the starting point and a thing that re-triggered me to continue the collection that I started a few years back. So yeah, don't sell everything that you spent years on achieving. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. And I'm curious if you have any tips that you think are valuable for a digital watch collection, or if any of the tips that I mentioned need further comments or additions, or maybe there is something that I missed when I talked about them. Wear your digital watches, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.